1631, April 2nd, 2025. Right now marks 441 hours of progress on Global Horror Simulation. Currently the code for the class that was the class for rendering and the completely unnecessary render manager, which just returns a singleton renderer, which was kind of stupid, as is a lot of obfuscated code which creates constructs that are not needed. The reason it was removed is because it's a renderer, and most of the things in the renderer only have one instance, while the things needed to build the pipeline, there's only one of them, such as the device, only one device, device context, and the code has been separated neatly into data and logic. And for whatever reason, this namespace is claiming that those definitions aren't being found, while they are, as it wouldn't be running otherwise. But other than that little warning or incorrect issue with the IntelliSense, everything is working correctly. So the window data and window logic are separate, and instead of a bunch of useless empty constructors and destructors and just unnecessary bloat such as functions and alias variables that return another variable, the code here actually all does something. So it's not just a individual return type function that just returns something that already exists. All of this code is either data or it's logic that performs some operation and makes actual use of the data. So this is a very simplified DirectX renderer. If this were object-oriented, it would be split into 20 different classes for rendering a triangle and 40 for rendering a cube, and whereas with this project it's just 3 different files: a header for data, a source file for the logic operations, and a main file as the entry point, which makes use of everything. And now it's much cleaner, which is one of the things that object-oriented programming claims to do, is make the code cleaner, but it seems that it can be made simpler with something akin to procedural programming or data-oriented. So now that all of this has been neatly organized and is actually sane, instead of the various DirectX tutorials which are more over-engineered than necessary. Well, not even over-engineered, but most of these OOP DirectX tutorials don't really do any actual engineering, because engineering would indicate that they're solving a problem, but they just add unnecessary bloat that does something in extra steps that aren't necessary. So now that the code has finally been removed of that issue for the most part, the only thing really here that is object-oriented is this cube type, which inherits from the object type, but since the object is a struct and the cube just takes that code, that would be resolved later. But for now, the intention going forward is to implement some features such as loading 3D models and doing some 3D pathfinding. Now, the goal for that is to just look at some other code bases and take the minimum required code and needed to get it working within this code base, as this code base is completely sane. And so rather than going through another tutorial and going through the entire thing, which has been the problem for the last few months, the goal now is to just take the minimum necessary code from those tutorials and separate the concept from the implementation, implement it here, and get everything working